It's time to talk about the fighters that need to put the fries in the bag, bro. Give it up, Unc. They're past their prime. They ain't never winning a belt. They're beyond cooked. It's time to talk about the fighters that need to retire for one reason or another. It's been a while since I've made a tier list on this, and we've seen some recent cards where there are some guys that clearly need to hang it up. So that's what we're going to discuss in this video. I have 25 fighters on the bottom of the screen that I'm going to put into these categories, and you guys are going to let me know what you think. Should these guys keep fighting? Should they hang it up? Let's get right into it, starting off with none other than Jim Miller. I'm going to throw Jim Miller and just give it up, Unc. Like, look, bro, you're losing to Chase Hooper, who's talking about gooning after the fight, dude. It's not a good look. Jim Miller in his prime probably would have destroyed Chase Hooper, but we got Unc Jim Miller literally at the barbecue with a cigarette in his mouth. This dude's almost 42 years old, and I get old man Miller's trying to make it to the octagon for a couple final walks in a wheelchair, but listen, man, you have the most fights in UFC history. You have the most wins in UFC history. You fought at UFC 100, 200, and 300. Jim Miller, time to ride off into the sunset in the Peaches in Creamville. You have nothing else to prove, little bro. Jim Miller, it's time to give it up, Unc. Moving on to the next fighter, Paul Craig. Listen, I think Paul Craig, I'm going to put him at washed. I could put him at beyond cooked. I might move him up to beyond cooked at the end, but Paul Craig is beyond washed. I think he's 1-5 in his last 6, or 1-4 in his last 5. Listen, bro, when you're getting comfortably outstruck by Bo Nickel, you know that something went wrong in your career, and it might be time to put the fries in the bag and hang it up. Paul Craig, he's a one-trick pony. He always have been. I just don't understand how a guy who's been training MMA since he was 23, and he's now, what, 37, 14 years, and this guy still doesn't know how to throw anything but a body kick. Like, all those years, did he just put all of his attributes into jiu-jitsu? Either way, it's not even cool to beat Paul Craig anymore, so hang it up, brother. Put the fries in the bag and get him out of there. Paul Craig should hang it up. I don't want to see him fight Rodolfo Bellato at light heavyweight. I don't care about that fight. Just hang it up, Paul Craig. This guy's talked about retiring before, and he's still fighting. Let's get on to the next fighter. We got Bobby Green. I'm not calling him king. That's soy. Call another grown man king. But Bobby Green is beyond cooked, and let me tell you why. That knockout against Mauricio Rufy was one of the most brutal knockouts we've ever seen. Bobby Green has now been put to sleep like 5 times in the UFC. He was knocked out by Dustin Poirier back in the day, right? Bobby Green was KO'd by Drew Dober. He was KO'd by Jalen Turner brutally. He was choked out and his arm broken by Paddy Pimblett. And then he was brutally KO'd by Mauricio Rufy. I've never seen more signs of a fighter that needs to retire. And if you watch this guy talk in interviews, it's clear he has CTE coming out of every part of his body. So please, Bobby Green, any man who changes their name to King at 37 clearly is struggling from CTE. So Bobby Green, buddy, you're at a cool fighting style. You had a good run, but it's time to hang it up, my guy. Moving on to the next fighter, Jan Blachowicz. Listen, I love Jan Blachowicz. He looked decent against Allberg, but bro, just give it up, Unc. Like, Jan Blachowicz, he's 42. He's coming off a major shoulder surgery. He looked okay in his last fight, but bro, you ain't Glover Teixeira, little bro. You're not about to pop out and win a belt at 42, 43 when we have Magomed Ankalaev at the top of the division and Alex Pereira. No way that Jan Blachowicz at 42 is going to have some kind of resurgence like Dominic Reyes and go on a run. I think he needs to hang it up. I think he needs to focus on maybe building his own camp and just, focus on putting the fries in the bag. That's exactly what he needs to do. It's time to give it up, Unc. You're 42, bro. You ain't a teenager anymore. You ain't Raul Rosas, bro. Hang it up, Jan Blachowicz. Next up, we got Michael Chandler. I'm going to put Michael Chandler in washed. That performance against Paddy Pimblett, I've never seen a more washed fighter in my entire life. Maybe Tony Ferguson towards the end of his career, but Michael Chandler looked terrible against Paddy Pimblett. And while I did think he was going to lose, I thought he would at least have moments. He had Paddy with 1 clean shot the entire fight. Outside of that, he got destroyed. He got a couple takedowns, did nothing with him. Paddy Pimblett beat the brakes off of Michael Chandler. And listen, Paddy Pimblett struggled against guys like Jared Gordon back in the day. Now he's smoking guys like Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 2-5 in the UFC. He's 39 years old. It's time for Michael Chandler to take care of his children and ride off into Peaches in Creamville because, listen, low bro, there's no reason to take any more damage. You've had all the exciting fights. We don't need to see it anymore. Michael Chandler's washed. I think he should pack it up. Next up, we got none other than Henry Cejudo. Listen, just give it up, Unc. I know Henry Cejudo is a midget. He's 5'4", and I know he doesn't look old, but Henry Cejudo is 38 years old at bantamweight. He's talking about he wants one more fight. No, we don't need to see it, dude. And let me tell you why I think Henry Cejudo should just give it up, Unc. Henry Cejudo recently came out and said that since he got eye poked by Song Yadong, he's been having double vision since. If that ain't a sign to pack it up, listen, low bro. If you want to end up like Michael Bisping, then keep fighting. I think it's a terrible idea. I think Henry Cejudo should try his best to keep his vision intact. Don't go into another training camp at 38 at bantamweight and get another fight. He must be running low on money, because let me just say, if I was a fighter and I knew that my vision was at risk taking another fight, there's no way in heck I'm getting in the cage. So yeah, I think Henry Cejudo just needs to give it up, Unk. Moving on to Darren Elkins. This is one of the saddest performances I've seen in recent memory. If you guys watch the 314 card, you saw Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. Darren Elkins got hit with a shot, and he never really recovered. And Darren Elkins might be the first fighter in UFC history to have cauliflower face. Most guys have cauliflower ear. He has cauliflower face. He looked horrible in that fight. He looked slower than ever. And honestly, it seemed like Darren Elkins showed up for a paycheck, because he is on a pretty good UFC contract where he gets paid like $250,000 win or lose. So I kind of feel bad for Darren Elkins. He's 41 years old, taking so much damage, and ironically, his nickname is The Damage. But yeah, man, I think Darren Elkins should hang it up before he probably already has lifelong CTE, but don't make it any worse, bro. Just hang it up, get a career coaching, do something else. We don't want to see you take any more damage. Moving on to the next fighter, we got Gilbert Burns. I think Gilbert Burns is washed. Listen, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 38 years old. He got KO'd by Jack Della Maddalena, right? He was winning that fight, but I think that's the last time we saw him. He got finished by Michael Morales. He got finished by Usman back in the day when he was still closer to his prime. He got pieced up by Bilal. Gilbert Burns hasn't won a fight in 2 years, 2.5 years. It's time for Gilbert Burns to put the fries in the bag. I do think that he's going to lose against Michael Morales, showing us just how washed he is. And he even contemplated retirement after his last fight. He was like, look, I don't know if I still got it. What's my motivation to train? And anytime you have a guy talking like that, it's time to hang it up, bro. You're never seeing a belt, Gilbert Burns. Welterweight's too deep. You're 38 years old. Just hang it up, man. Gilbert Burns is washed, and yeah, that's my belief. Moving on to the next fighter, Jose Aldo. I'm going to put him in past their prime. No. I'm going to put Jose Aldo in past their prime because he's not quite an unk. He's 38. I guess he is an unk. Yeah, I'm going to put him with Henry Cejudo. Just give it up, unk. Jose Aldo's been fighting since he was 20 years old. This dude was WEC champion whenever I was still in my father's ball sack. So if there's any indication that Jose Aldo needs to hang it up, this dude's fighting guys like Jonathan Martinez, Mario Bautista, and now Ayman Zahabi. Is Jose Aldo trying to beat contenders to get to another title shot? Listen, bro, you're never winning the UFC belt again at 38. You're too old. You're stuck in the mud, and that's it. I think Jose Aldo's had an amazing career. Why tack on more losses? And don't take the Anderson Silva route, Jose Aldo. I know he's losing close fights and he's showing a good version of himself at 38, but there's no reason to keep fighting, man. This guy's proven everything. He's been 2-time featherweight champion. He's fought for the bantamweight belt, WEC champion. Hang it up, put the fries in the bag, and just give it up, unk, at the end of the day. Moving on to the next fighter, Jon Jones. I'm going to put Jon Jones in past their prime. I think Jon Jones is past his prime and he needs to retire. There's no secret why he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones is a smart guy. He knows he's older. He's nearly 38, right? He's slower than he ever has been. And Tom Aspinall's got a good 25 to 30 pounds on him. I think Jon Jones might just be stalling out to say he's the longest reigning heavyweight champion and then vacate the belt. But I don't think we see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. And listen, I don't really care about any other Jon Jones fight outside of that one. So I think Jon Jones is past his prime. He's had his glory days of being the UFC champion, dominating, reigning over the division, but he's not really a reigning champion right now, isn't he? He's a duck that's literally just tainting his legacy more and more every day. Every time he speaks, he puts his foot in his mouth and just shows how scared he is of Tom Aspinall. But yeah, nonetheless, I think Jon Jones is past his prime, and I get he could secure millions, but if he ain't going to fight Aspinall, which I don't think he will, just put the fries in the bag and hang it up, little bro. Jon Jones, past his prime, I think he should retire. Moving on to the next fighter. Same thing with Kamaru Usman, past his prime. I don't think Kamaru Usman's washed. You know, he's 37, almost 38, but I do think he's past his prime, and it's no secret that he's riddled with injuries. That's why we haven't seen him in a year and a half. Kamaru Usman hasn't won a fight since November of 2021. He has bad knees, and I think that might be why he's been out for so long. Kamaru Usman has notoriously said that his knees are awful, and he has to walk backwards downstairs. So that's probably why we haven't seen him since October of 2023 at UFC 294. Against Hamzat. But yeah, I think that Kamaru Usman should 100% hang it up. I mean, 5-time defending welterweight champion, 6-time champion overall, 0-3 in his last 3. You're not going to come back after a year and a half off and look like your prime self and be beating these hungry up-and-comers like Shavkat, like Buckley and all these guys. So yeah, I think Kamaru Usman should just stick to yapping on his podcast. He's never getting another title shot. And yeah, I think he's past his prime and he should hang it up. Another fighter that I would say is washed, Colby Covington. Listen, Colby Covington took a fight last year on short notice against Joaquin Buckley, and that just wasn't a good showing. He got his eye cut, he got his ass beat, and he got TKO'd after the third round doctor stoppage, and it looked like he wanted out of that fight. I'm going to be honest. Colby Covington hasn't won a fight since 2022. He's 37 years old. He's had unlimited title shots in his career. Listen, Colby Covington, just put the poker chips in the bag, bro. You're never fighting for a title again, and you're old. You're 37. This welterweight division is now a Shark Tank. Joaquin Buckley, Ian Gary, Carlos Prates, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Jack Della Maddalena. There's so many guys that will put an absolute whooping. Michael Morales on Colby Covington, and I think it's time for him to ride off into the sunset. Become a poker champion, become a trainer. No reason to take more damage. You already barely can speak as it is. I'm joking, but yeah, I think Colby Covington's washed, and I think he should hang it up. Listen, when you're talking about a fighter who fights once a year and hasn't had a win in 3 years, it's time to put the fries in the bag or the poker chips and hang it up. Next up, we got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Just give it up, Unk. Listen, I know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson doesn't look old, but this guy's 42 years old, and it's time for Unk to hang it up. I mean, 42, whenever you're a Wonder Boy and you're getting KO'd by Joaquin Buckley, it might be time to rethink your career. Listen, I know Anthony Pettis KO'd Wonder Boy, but Joaquin Buckley, in terms of technical ability, doesn't even hold Wonder Boy's jockstrap. Like, it's just insulting that Joaquin Buckley got a knockout to Wonder Boy. It really shows you that he really is past his prime. Just give it up, Unk. You're 42 years old in your prime. There's no way in hell Joaquin Buckley would have caught Wonder Boy with that same shot. So, yeah, we love Wonder Boy. He's one of the greatest strikers in UFC history, but he's had his time, and I think he should ride off into the sunset and, hang it up for sure. Moving on to the next fighter on this list, Marvin Vettori. I'm going to throw him into the never winning a belt category. Listen, Marvin Vettori just came off after their 1.5 year hiatus. He came back to face Roman Dolidze, a guy he had a win over, and I'm going to be honest, man, Marvin Vettori showed absolutely nothing new. He looked like the same fighter, no new wrinkles to his game. I didn't see any new wrestling ability, new striking techniques, new jiu-jitsu. Marvin Vettori might be the most mid fighter in UFC history, and that Marvin Vettori needs to retire whenever guys are just praising him on having a good chin, because what else can you say about Marvin Vettori's skills? He just has nothing that stands out. He has a good chin, and that's it. You really want to be known for a good chin? Marvin Vettori's never won in the belt. He fought Izzy, he got dominated. He's just not good enough, man, and I think there's other things he can do. Marvin Vettori, live your Italian dream outside the UFC, bro. Don't take more CTE. You're never winning a UFC title, so just put the fries in the bag, bro, and it's time to wrap it up, buddy, because you looked embarrassing against Dolidze. I'm going to be honest. Getting dominated by old man Dolidze, who's mid in the striking, is not a good look. So, yeah, I think it's time for Marvin Vettori to ride off into Peaches and Creamville and say, you know what, I had a good run, but this ain't for me anymore. Speaking of having a good run, Israel Adesanya. I'm going to put Izzy. I want to put him in washed, but I'm going to put him past their prime. Listen, Israel Adesanya, I don't think he's really digressed in terms of his skills. It just seems like his chin's not holding up as well these days. But listen, man, Israel Adesanya has over 100 combat sports fights, 80 in kickboxing, over 20 in MMA. I mean, listen, there's nothing else for this guy to prove. Why keep fighting, bro? If you're getting knocked out by guys like Nasruddin Imavov, you might need to rethink your career. Listen, I know Nasruddin has pop, but I just don't think a prime Izzy would get knocked out by that. He took some hard shots off Pereira and didn't even fully go out, but he takes one decent shot, or it was better than a decent shot. It was a good shot by Imavov, but Izzy went down, and then that was it. Prime Izzy, I don't think goes down to that shot. And it's he's getting dropped by Strickland. He's getting choked out by DDP. Fair enough. And then now he's getting knocked out by Imavov. He's 1-4 in his last 5. I think Israel Adesanya, I don't think he's washed, but I think his style's kind of figured out and the division's kind of moving on. I think he's past his prime. And I think that Izzy should ride off into the sunset. 5-time defending champion, similar to Kamaru Usman. Nothing else to prove. At least he fights unlike Kamaru Usman. But yeah, he's still a top 5 fighter. And I understand there's probably a lot of money on the table for him. But listen, man, there's so many other things that Israel Adesanya can do outside of taking brain damage. So I think he should wrap it up. He's had a great UFC career. And yeah, man, if you're getting knocked out cold by guys like Imavov, not out cold, but if you're getting dropped and put out by Imavov, who's not really known to be a knockout artist. I know he got a fake TKO over Jared Cannonier, but outside of that, Imavov is not really knocking guys out left and right, So I think that's a sign that Izzy should definitely consider hanging it up. His coach came out recently and said he might want to fight again, but I don't know if I want to see that. Next up, we got Anthony Smith, the on-paper GOAT. Listen, Anthony Smith is probably going to destroy Zhang Mingyang on paper, that is, for his last fight, and then he's probably going to go on a title run. Let's cut the BS. Anthony Smith in his last 2 fights against Dominic Reyes and against Khalil Roundtree looked horrible, and he's just looked worse and worse. Ever since he lost to Jon Jones, Anthony Smith just hasn't been that guy. And it just seems like he goes in there and just gets his ass whipped every single fight. And he goes on a podcast and he copes about it, about how like he can beat anybody in the 3-round fight. He's the best 3-round fighter in the light heavyweight division. But listen, bro, I am glad that Anthony Smith has decided that his last fight will be against Zhang Mingyang. And yeah, I think he's beyond cooked. I don't think Anthony Smith should be fighting even Zhang Mingyang. That's another knockout waiting to happen. So yeah, I'm glad Anthony Smith has actually decided to call it a career, but I don't know, man. A guy like Anthony Smith, I could 100% see him like calling off his retirement to come back. Let's hope not. Let's hope he just sticks to podcasting and coaching. He's had a good run. He's fought for the title, you know. He had his moment against Glover where he had a good first round. But listen, bro, you had a long, luxurious UFC career. It's time to ride off into the sunset and you know, just stick with your paper and notepad on your little podcast. Moving on to the next fighter on this list, we got Volkanovski. Listen, man, after that Diego Lopez performance, I really do want to see Volk retire. People are talking about, dude, no, he shouldn't retire, fight Movzar. He smokes Movzar. And listen, man, prime Volkanovski smokes Movzar, but this ain't prime Volkanovski, man. I don't know. I just have a feeling that the Russian plot armor from Movzar, Movzar has 9 finishes. I mean, 9 wins in the UFC, 0 finishes. I can just see the way the MMA gods work, man. They're going to freaking Movzar's first finish is going to be against Volkanovski, and we're going to be like, yep, Volk should have retired. I don't want to see him versus Movzar. Can Volk win that fight? Absolutely, man. But I don't know. He just looked slower than he ever has been. He took more damage than he ever has in his fight against Diego Lopez, and I just don't think his chin's the same. He's 36. He's going to be 37 by the time they fight, if they do fight. So I don't know, man. Volkanovski, I think it's time for him to hang it up. He's had a long run, and a great run. I mean, I think he's the 3rd greatest fighter of all time behind Islam and Jon Jones. I think GSP's bumped down to 4. I think Islam and Volk have passed up GSP. But moving on to the next fighter on this list, Josh Emmett. Just give it up, Unc. Listen, Josh Emmett's 40 years old, and this guy's been fighting the same his entire UFC career. You know, he just took off a year and a half, and he said he added some new wrinkles to his game. You know, he healed some injuries that were nagging him. And it's like, bro, Josh Emmett came back against Lerone Murphy, and I understand he's 40, but he showed absolutely nothing against Lerone Murphy. He's the same guy, just spamming overhands and missing all fight and just getting out technique by Lerone Murphy to a boring decision. And it's like, even against Ilya, just spamming overhands, bro. You're never going to hit. Josh Emmett has some of the most raw power in the entire UFC, but his technique is so garbage that it doesn't matter. Mr. Big Immediate Hooks, give it up, Unc. You're 40 years old in the welterweight division, and that beard is showing it, buddy. It's time for Josh Emmett to put the fries in the bag and ride off into the sunset. Moving on to the next one, Gunnar Nelson. I'm putting him in the wash tier. Listen, this dude's getting not dominated, but like he's getting pieced up by Kevin Holland these days. That ain't a good look. I understand Kevin Holland's a decent fighter, but Gunnar Nelson's already a guy that fights like once every like year and a half, 2 years. There's no reason to keep coming back. He's 37 years old, I believe, 36 years old. And yeah, I mean, maybe he's just coming back for a paycheck every so often, but I think he's washed. I would put him in past his prime. I don't know. I think he's washed. I don't think he's the same guy. He looked okay against Kevin Holland, I guess. But I think he's washed. I think he's inactive, and I don't see a reason for him to keep fighting. So Gunnar Nelson, just put the fries in the bag, bro. Do some jiu-jitsu competitions, and yeah, that's it. Moving on to the next one, we got Rafael Dos Anjos. Listen, just give it up, Unc. Rafael Dos Anjos, he's 40 years old, and he's coming off that ACL tear versus Jeff Neal. ACL tear at 40 years old is crazy, and he said he doesn't want to retire, so that means he's probably going to come back when he's 41, 42. As we know, it takes about a year for an ACL to fully heal, and even at 40, it might take a year and a half. Who knows? But listen, RDA has so many UFC fighters. This guy has fought the hardest competition, arguably, of any fighter. It's time for him to hang it up, bro. Like, you're tearing your ACL at 40, Unc. It's time to just realize that you ain't him anymore, bro. You kind of were never him since you lost the title. RDA's been a very rocky career since losing the title. I think he should pack it up, take care of your kids, bro. Started training other guys at your gym to be champion. You're not going to become champion anymore. I understand that $300,000 paycheck he gets per fight is enticing, but come on, bro. More injuries, more CTE. You've been finished a bunch. I think RDA should pack it up. Next up, we got Calvin Kattar. I think Calvin Kattar's washed. Yep. If you've seen Calvin Kattar's last 3 or 4 fights, you can see that he hasn't won a fight since 2022. He just lost to Yusuf Zalal, and I don't know, man. Calvin Kattar just never really evolved. Like, not only do I think he's washed, I think he's just one-dimensional. He's a boxer with good takedown defense. He doesn't really have any kicks. He has good elbows and boxing. He has really no kicks. He doesn't really have any jiu-jitsu or offensive wrestling. He's a guy that's good defensive wrestling. He has good defensive wrestling, but he can't like get guys to the ground. And yeah, if you can get past his boxing, you're pretty much going to piece him up. So yeah, Calvin Kattar, honestly, I wouldn't have minded if he retired after the Max Holloway fight. That amount of damage he took, dude, 700 strikes to the head was insane, or 500 strikes. But yeah, Calvin Kattar's winless in his last 4, hasn't had a win in over 3 years. And yeah, man, 37 years old. I think it's time for him to hang it up, pack it up. The little Boston Chihuahua that is Calvin Kattar. It's time to hang it up, bro. You had your run. You didn't get to fight for a title because you ran into Max Holloway, but listen, Calvin Kattar always put on bangers. I don't want to see him fight anymore. Please pack it up, buddy. Moving on to the next one, Jared Cannonier. Just give it up, Unk. Listen, Jared Cannonier is literally like textbook definition of an Unk. I mean, look at him. He even looks the part. And I get it. He just finished Gregory Rodriguez. That was a good win by Cannonier. But listen, bro, you're 41 years old. You ain't Yoel Romero, little bro. You're not winning a belt at 41. You ain't beating Hamzat. You ain't beating Dricus. You ain't beating Whitaker either. You ain't beating Baraujo. You ain't beating Fluffy. You ain't beating none of these guys. I even think Delize beats Cannonier. So listen, bro. I think Jared Cannonier, you had your title shot. You had your good run. Go out on a win. You have kids. Well, I don't see why this guy needs to keep fighting. He's taken a good amount of damage in his UFC career. I think he's been knocked out at heavyweight, light heavyweight by Dominic Reyes. And has he been finished at middleweight? I do not remember. But yeah, Jared Cannonier, I think he should hang it up. He's had a good run. He's 41. So yeah. In the words of this tier, just give it up, Unk. Moving on to the next fighter, Cody Garbrandt. Now, I'm going to put him in washed. Well, let's be real. Cody Garbrandt's kind of been washed since he lost to TJ Dillashaw. I mean, the guy really just proved that he's just a meathead that swings meaty hooks. He's kind of like a younger version of Josh Emmett with tattoos, or more tattoos, because Cody Garbrandt, he just never was really that good. He had an amazing performance against Dominic Cruz, but after that, his career kind of fell off on a cliff. He knocked out old Rafael, who was it? Rafael at bantamweight, you know who I'm talking about. And he knocked out Brian Kelleher. Outside of that, he hasn't done nothing but get finished, submitted by Davison Figueiredo, knocked out by Kattar France, knocked out by Pedro Munhoz, knocked out by TJ Dillashaw twice, busted up by Rob Font over 5 rounds. Cody Garbrandt, it's crazy to say that this guy won the belt at 25, and now he's almost 34 years old in July. Definitely pack it up. And not to mention, if you guys haven't noticed, Garbrandt is always injured. This guy is riddled with injuries. He's had so many pullouts. So, yeah, man, no reason to keep putting your body through that. This guy's been doing wrestling and MMA almost his whole life. Listen, he's got kids now, bro. Just put the fries in the bag and hang it up, bro. You're washed, and we know it. Moving on to the next fighter, Pedro Munhoz. Listen, I'm putting Pedro in beyond cooked. Guy's 1-5 in his last 6. He's 38 years old at bantamweight, and do I want to put him? No, I don't think he's as bad as the other guy. I'm going to put him in washed. Pedro Munhoz, he's old. He's 38. I think he's 1-5 in his last 6. And for a while, Pedro Munhoz was a tough test for a lot of guys to see if you can get into the rankings. Like, if you could beat Pedro Munhoz, you're going into the top 10, top 15. And that still remains true because Amin Zahabi beat him and he got into the top 15. But listen, bro, whenever you're 1-5 in your last 6, you're taking the Tony Ferguson route, bro. You're taking the Sam Alvey route. It's time to hang it up. 38 at bantamweight. You never love to see it. Don't turn into the next Frankie Edgar, bro, and just get KO'd over and over. Even though I don't think Pedro Munhoz has ever been finished. So let's keep that intact, Pedro Munhoz. Let's not get finished before your UFC career ends. Just hang it up. And yeah, I think he's had a good run. He's had some exciting fights, some banger performances, but at 38, I don't think he has anything else to prove. So yeah, put the fries in the bag, Pedro. Hang it up. You're done, buddy. And last but not least, I'm also going to put him in, we'll put Edson Barboza in past their prime. I don't know. I don't feel like Edson Barboza is necessarily washed. He kind of always looks like the same guy, but obviously he's become slower and older through the years. So, but then again, do I want to put him in the same category? You know what? I'll put Barboza and just give it up, Unk. He's 39 years old. He's been, listen, you know Barboza's been in the UFC for a long time. When his spinning wheel kick KO over Terry Edom was in 2012. It's now 13 years later in 2025, and this guy is still an active fighter. Kind of crazy the longevity he's had, but I think Unk should just give it up. He should ride off into the sunset. One of the greatest strikers we've ever seen at lightweight or featherweight. And yeah, he's given us some exciting fights. And recently he even came out and said that he's ready to look up the division and he's feeling good. But come on, dude, you're 39, bro. There's nothing else to prove. Put the fries in the bag. He's not 39. Yeah, he is 39. I think he turned 39 in January. You ain't winning a title at 39 at featherweight, bro, with John Silva and Lerone Murphy and Movsar Evloev and Yair Rodriguez and Alexander Volkanovski. There's like 0% chance that Barboza ever gets to a belt. So what else is there to prove for him? He's had so many UFC fights. Hang it up. And that's it, guys. This is the list of fighters that I think should hang it up and ride off into Peaches and Creamville. I've seen a lot of guys fighting recently that just looked over the hill or washed. And listen, at the end of the day, these guys are getting paid to take punches to the head. And I don't want to see 40-year-old men get punched in the head whenever they're past their prime. It's sad to watch. So, yeah, Michael Chandler, definitely hang it up after that performance against Patty. Let me know what you guys think. Who else should retire? So some of these guys on this list stay in the UFC and keep fighting. Do you want to see them take more brain damage? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.